Hi, if you find yourself past the point of being fed up in a relationship, you may even find yourself screaming, I don't care. I don't care. Where before you would have engaged, you would have tried to work things out, have long conversations, even if they're like screaming or yelling matches, and really kept trying and trying and trying. But if you find yourself kind of past that point where you're willing to engage and you're just kind of just over the whole thing, you might be in a toxic cycle with someone. And that doesn't mean the person is toxic. It just could be a toxic cycle that you both have found yourself in for whatever reason. So it's really hard because when you can't figure it out and when nothing's working, you may just be tempted to wash your hands of the whole thing. And that would mean washing your hands of that person. And for many of us, that would mean washing our hands of our responsibility in the relationship. And that is not okay, right? We want to make sure we're fulfilling our responsibilities, but it's really hard when you just feel so defeated and so helpless to, facilitate or elicit a change. When you feel like you have no say and no power over if it's going to change or not. By the way, all of this comes from Have You Had Enough? This is a book of how to overcome or how to break up with your toxic cycle. So ways that you'll know you're in a toxic cycle. It's when you feel like you have tried everything. So you have tried talking, you've tried screaming or yelling, you've tried, you may have tried counseling, you may have tried bringing in another person or third party to help you, you've tried silence, you've tried crying, you've tried bargaining, right? You've tried ultimatums, you may have tried threats. You just feel like you've tried everything you knew how to do, and no matter what, the relational dynamic is just not changing. And that could happen for many reasons. And it can be hard to know, what is the root of this issue. But the great thing is, if you can identify and learn how to map out that toxic cycle, it's going to give you more insight and it's going to help you exit it. And ultimately, you may have to leave the relationship if that's what you decide. But the first step is to just take a look at the cycle, and then you can make those other more difficult decisions, and maybe it will just stop. Once you learn what that cycle is and how to exit it, it's so powerful. And that's exactly what this is going to help you learn how to do. You can find it on Amazon.com. So really having tried everything, but always coming back to a place of confusion, a place of hurt where you're like, wait, I was so certain it was you and you're so certain it's me. And the more I'm talking to you, the more confused I'm getting. But then I come right back to the end where I'm like, no, it is you. It is you. But you keep telling me it's me, right? So if you've ever kind of been stuck in that, and this is not something that happens once or twice, this can go on for an extended period of time. I mean, we're talking like months and maybe even years. So you could see where you or someone else could get really fed up with this relationship because of this toxic cycle. So feeling like it always leads to hurt, it always just leads to more confusion, is going to make you not want to try anymore at some point, or it's going to make the other person not want to try anymore, right? And you can sort of reach that new level. And for me, this is sort of where it's not the point of no return, but you're pretty close to it. It's kind of where you feel cold, right? That should scare you, because that feeling where you just feel nothing, I mean, maybe even if you see the person cry and you're just so over it, you don't feel anything, or it's difficult again and you just don't feel anything. You just almost feel cold. That needs to be a massive indicator. Okay, something has to give, like something has to shift, because it could be a really important relationship in your life. And again, you don't want to wash your hands of your responsibilities. You want to fulfill and meet your responsibilities. But let me tell you, that toxic cycle, I get it. It makes it feel impossible, and it's so frustrating. So here's the cool thing. You can actually learn how to unpack your toxic cycle. You can learn how to map it out. And ultimately, that's going to help you understand how to exit it. So it's not that the other person is necessarily your enemy. I think most times they are not. And I think a lot of times they're just as hurt as you are. Bless you, my dog just sneezed. They're just as confused as you are, right? But the main thing is, how do we overcome this? And really, it's putting it on paper and it's unpacking it. So we're going to walk through the next few times my book, Have You Had Enough? How to Break Up with Your Toxic Cycle. Again, you can find that on Amazon.com. So hopefully You know, if you're in a place where you're feeling like you're sort of getting cold, or maybe you're just in that screaming or having the same fights over and over and over, or the same hurt over and over and over, and no amount of anything is changing anything, then I hope that you take the time to learn about your toxic cycles so you can get yourself free and break out of that. And let me tell you, having gone through this myself, it didn't free me from the relationship. It actually freed me to be able to fulfill my responsibility in a more healthy, loving way once I understood what that cycle was. So I'm excited for you to come and learn about this process. Again, you can find the book on Amazon.com. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next one.